Aloha and good afternoon. Welcome to This Is Now. We begin with a live look outside over Honolulu. As you can see, it is a rainy day for parts of the state. Some blue there in the corner, but more showers are rolling in. I'm Dylan Ancheta in the H&N Digital Center. Here's a live look out in Hilo. As you can see there, more rain and showers as well as some murky water. We're going to have your full forecast coming up in just a few minutes with our Drew Davis. But first, we want to go ahead and update you on some crime that happened over the weekend. New today, a 24-year-old man faces attempted murder charges in connection to a stabbing in the Haleiwa area. David Liututu was arrested yesterday afternoon. He's suspected of stabbing a 23-year-old man multiple times at a party at around midnight Sunday morning. The victim brought himself to the hospital. A 48-year-old woman was also arrested in connection with the stabbing, and she faces a charge of hindering prosecution. Meanwhile, Honolulu police are still searching for an attempted murder suspect who is wanted for a shooting in Kalihi. This shooting happened shortly before 1 a.m. Saturday morning near Rose and Middle Streets. We're told a fight broke out between the suspect and a group of people. The suspect left but later returned in a car. A 3-year-old man was also hit in the foot by the pellets from that shotgun blast. The suspect has not yet been charged. A neighbor we spoke with said the violence caught her off guard.
It's concerning. It's a quiet neighborhood usually. Everybody's very friendly. Everybody knows each other and looks out for each other. I walk my dog every day and the neighbors are just very friendly.
It's still unclear who the dog belonged to, and as of today, the suspect remained in jail at last check. He faces reckless endangering and cruelty to animals charges. A short time ago, Governor Josh Green revealed details of his proposed budget. He held a news conference in which our Hawaii News Now team was there. Here's some of that.
We've added $326.7 million to this budget. Most of that additional cash that's in the budget expenditure is going to our responsibilities on Maui. We know better than ever that we are going to statewide have to expand our capacity to deal with crises. So that means a lot of appropriations that we haven't seen before, positions that will fight fires, positions that will pre-place equipment, positions that will cut roads for us, that we fire escape. But again, that's statewide. That's not just disaster recovery. You'll see climate and environment funds that we need to do, in addition to some of the things that I always talk about, housing and homelessness, healthcare and education.
We'll have more on this story in later editions of Hawaii News Now, starting at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Now to a Honolulu Civil Beat investigation that reveals hundreds of assaults on state hospital employees over the last 11 years. The most notable instance, a deadly knife attack by a patient last month. But according to a Civil Beat investigation, over the last 11 years, workers at the Hawaii State Hospital have been assaulted by patients at a rate of about 3 times per week or once every other day, according to data from the Hawaii Department of Health. Now, that data shows more than 1,000 assaults in the last 10 years. You can find the entire story on their website, civilbeat.org. In airline news, Southwest has agreed to a record $140 million settlement following a federal investigation into the company's meltdown last December that led to thousands of flights being canceled and more than 2 million travelers being stranded over the holidays. Now, the chaos began when blizzard-like conditions hit several cities across the nation, and that led to a domino effect of canceled flights and crew rescheduling problems. Southwest will pay a $35 million fine as a part of that $140 million agreement. Most of the settlement will go toward compensating future passengers, which the U.S. Department of Transportation considers an incentive for Southwest to avoid repeating last winter's mess. The government said the settlement is the largest it has ever imposed on an airline for violating consumer protection laws. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said this penalty should put all airlines on notice to take every step possible to ensure that a meltdown like this never happens again. The airline says it has learned from the event and can now shift its entire focus to the future. And earlier this morning on Hawaii News Now Sunrise, Southwest COO Andrew Watterson joined our team to talk about that agreement as well as plans for the future. Here's some of that interview.
I think it's appropriate. As I said when I had to testify for the Senate, that we messed up. We did take care of our customers right in the moment by giving them reimbursements of travel expenditures, refunds, and such. And so when you mess up, you have to own it. In this situation, the DOT follow-up fine, I think, is merited. We have invested tremendously in our operation so it doesn't happen again. So I think with this fine and certain agreement with the DOT and the investment we've made, that this kind of closes the chapter on this part of Southwest Airlines.
Yeah, you spent more than $600 million in refunds alone, so there was a cost even then. Since then, this December, you've had almost no cancellations. There have been more than 40 this morning, but as we were mentioning before we went on, there's some weather in the east.
Yeah, just like we're having rain here in the islands, there was rain in Florida earlier in the weekend that tracked up the East Coast, and so there's very high winds in New England and New York area, so airlines have essentially ceased operations for a period of time while we're waiting for the winds to die down. So hopefully that storm will pass and we can resume normal operations.
So what do you plan for Hawaii service in 2024?
Well, you know, I was in the islands on Friday to the Maui Convention and Visitors Bureau's annual meeting to understand the state of the visitor market there. We're the only airline that has not reduced capacity in this month in December, and when you're the only airline doing something, you have some self-doubt. So we understand what should we do with regards to mainland to Maui flying and what type of travelers should we bring back. And so their focus is on marketing campaigns to bring back the mindful traveler who will take advantage of the visitor infrastructure but still be respectful to the areas under restoration. And so we'll take that back and use that to modify our marketing plans so we can fill our aircraft with the right type of visitor for that market. And otherwise, I think for us is status quo for our Hawaii service until our next aircraft, which is the MAX 7. It's still under certification, and the first 30 of those we'll receive are ETOPS, and that'll allow us to put those on the inter-island market, which is a little bit smaller aircraft, and then also allow us to fly certain routes from the mainland that require higher performance. So that's our next step.
Looking now to the latest international news, Skylar Henry has an update on the war in the Middle East.
Hamas released a new video showing 3 of the 129 hostages it's holding. Hamas says it will not negotiate their return until the fighting stops. Israel says the fighting will not stop until the hostages are safe.
By the end of the war, as long as it takes, we need to make sure that we have our hostages back, that we eliminate the Hamas abilities.
Israeli leaders met with U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin Monday. He reiterated American support for Israel in its war against Hamas, but the U.S. wants Israel to do more for the civilians caught in the crossfire.
We will also continue to urge the protection of civilians during conflict and to increase the flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza.
Secretary Austin said America is not trying to dictate timelines for Israel's military, but the U.S. is still urging Israel to quickly reach the next phase of its war.
We also have some great thoughts about how to transition from high-intensity operations to a lower intensity and more surgical operations.
Israel says they are working to clear Hamas out of Gaza bit by bit.
In every area where we achieve our mission, we will be able to transition gradually to the next phase and start working on bringing back local population.
Israel says it has no plans to control Gaza when the war is over. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
And in news from the Vatican, a major shift in Vatican doctrine. Pope Francis formally permitting Roman Catholic priests to bless same-sex couples. Now, the announcement came on Monday. The blessings may be carried out as long as they are not part of regular church rituals or liturgies. They must also not take place at the same time as a civil union. Monday's ruling is a shift from a 2021 ruling from the Vatican Doctrine Office, which barred any blessings, saying God cannot bless sin. Pope Francis has been known for his progressive thinking and stance on issues like this. Back here in the States, one person was killed Monday morning when a hotel office exploded in Pennsylvania. Now, state police say the blast happened at the Bird in Hand Family Inn in Lancaster County. Authorities believe the explosion may have been caused by propane. One person was found dead in the wreckage. It doesn't seem any guests were staying at the hotel at the time of the blast. Officials are searching the debris to make sure there aren't other victims. The explosion destroyed the hotel office and damaged the hotel restaurant. Damages are estimated to be around $1 million. The federal government is trying to make it harder for officers found guilty of misconduct to get hired at other departments. The Justice Department launched a new national database to centralize information on the misconduct of federal officers. It will flag them during the hiring process for law enforcement positions. President Joe Biden says it's part of an executive order on police reforms he signed in 2022. Right now, the database only applies to federal officers, but Biden says he is working to allow state, local, and tribal agencies to also participate. Back here at home, Honolulu EMS confirmed that 1/3 of its rigs were out of service for a 12-hour period Sunday morning. Our Eddie Dowd found out why.
Honolulu EMS told us 7 of its 21 ambulances sat idle from midnight until noon Sunday. Officials say the reasons include a combination of approved holiday vacation leave, maternity leave, and illness. In an emergency, every minute counts, but on Sunday morning, Honolulu EMS was stretched thin. For 12 hours, 7 of Oahu's 21 ambulances were temporarily closed. Officials said the problem stemmed from a temporary staffing shortage. We spoke with a longtime paramedic who wanted to remain anonymous.
The amount that we're seeing this weekend is definitely not normal.
Data from EMS officials show Central and West Oahu were hit especially hard. Typically, there are 5 ambulances that cover areas like Waipahu, Wahiawa, and Ewa. This morning, there were just 2.
Having a unit closed on the west side of the island can actually affect the call volume for an ambulance on the windward side of the island because everybody will slowly start having to move over towards the busy area.
Honolulu City Council member Augie Toba, who represents portions of Ewa Beach and Waipahu, says when he heard the news, he immediately called the director of Honolulu Emergency Services.
I just want to make sure that that this challenge that we had wasn't going to impact the community, and that in case there was an emergency, that our aunties, uncles, our families, our friends was going to be taken care of. He assured me.
It's not the first time Honolulu EMS has seen a significant portion of their ambulance fleet idle due to staffing shortages. Around the same time last year, 14 out of 22 ambulances went unstaffed over 2 12-hour shifts, both instances on a Sunday right before the holidays. Despite a similar scenario, some paramedics say the department is working to address the issue.
Over the past 6 months, we've seen a significant improvement in our staffing issues. We have a lot less unit closures. There's, many days where there's no unit closures at all. Kind of like an anomaly going on this weekend.
EMS in a statement said, quote, "This is fortunately rare, and the whole purpose of our aggressive hiring strategy is to prevent this in the future. Our mutual aid agreements with AMR Ambulance and the Federal Fire Department mitigated the effects of our closures, and we appreciate the help," end quote. EMS says during that 12-hour window, response times were under requirements, but is asking the public to only call 911 in the event of an emergency. It is also anticipating a brand new graduating class of 26 EMS personnel that will be cleared for full duty soon. Eddie Dowd, Hawaii News Now.
A former Hawaii politician was laid to rest over the weekend. A service was held at the Hawaiian Memorial Park in Kaneohe for Whitney Anderson. Anderson served in the Hawaii State Legislature for 2 decades. He was the former state Senate minority leader. Anderson died last month at his home in Waimanalo.
But he was a person, everybody says to me, that was very, very warm. But also he brought humor to the legislature when sometimes we get so intense as far as the issues per se. He brought laughter to the State House.
Now, Whitney Anderson was 91 years old. Let's go ahead and take you live outside one more time before we head to break. Here is our live camera over Honolulu. The clouds and showers are moving through, and I also want to take you once again to the island of Hawaii. This is our helo camera. In the foreground, you can see Coconut Island right there. A few minutes before the show started, you could not even see the land in the background. It was that heavy of rain coming down. So really, conditions are changing by the minute. Stay tuned. After the break, our Drew Davis will have your full forecast coming up.
Got a gigantic high-pressure system off to our northwest, and the clockwise circulation of air around it is going to give us breezy trade winds by the time we get to Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And just up above us, we've got this strong tropical jet stream. So that jet stream is going to bring some more showers for us Monday through Wednesday. That jet stream essentially acts like a low-pressure system, and the moisture associated with that is bringing those scattered showers that we're tracking. We can see that on our first alert futurecast. You can see Tuesday, Wednesday, we're seeing a lot of rainfall, mostly over the windward areas of the island, but we're still tracking a lot of moisture going into Wednesday and Thursday of this upcoming week. Our winds outside are going to be out of the northeast. We've got breezy trade winds this morning, and we're going to continue to see breezy trade winds going forward throughout Monday and Tuesday. Notice out of the northeast around 20 miles per hour as we get into Tuesday afternoon. Taking a look at your first alert 7-day forecast. We have Tuesday and Wednesday lit up in red. A lot of rain on the first part of this week, and those breezy trade winds are going to be sticking around. Sunday is Christmas Eve.
Thank you so much, Drew, for that forecast. Across the nation, a massive coastal storm is taking aim at the northeast today after punishing people all over the south. Elaine Quijano has the latest.
Drivers navigated flooded roads Monday morning in Philadelphia as a massive storm system moved in with heavy rain. In Ridgewood, New Jersey, that torrential rain flooded a high school football field. All weekend, the storm punished residents along the East Coast from Florida to South Carolina. Some areas got over 10 inches of rain. Parts of Jacksonville, Florida, and Charleston, South Carolina were underwater. About 60 miles north, Georgetown, South Carolina was swamped.
We were well prepared for 4 to 6 inches of rain, and we had 12.27 inches of rain.
Powerful winds made matters even worse. A reported tornado touched down briefly near Myrtle Beach, and winds up to 100 miles per hour flipped cars, destroyed businesses, and split open homes.
It was like for 5-10 minutes that it was getting crazy, and then it just stops.
The day began with over 200,000 customers along the East Coast without power, and more outages are expected as the storm intensifies in the heavily populated Northeast. Flooded roadways, power outages, and flight delays are all causing concerns for the busy travel week ahead, when AAA predicts about 115 million people will travel by road and air. Elaine Quijano, CBS News, New York.
In other news, one of America's most popular beer brands may have trouble reaching the store shelves next year. About 5,000 Teamsters working at Anheuser-Busch voted to authorize a strike if a new contract can't be reached. The current work agreement expires at the end of February. The Teamsters work at 12 breweries. Strike votes are a common part of labor negotiations and may never materialize into an actual strike, but sometimes they do, like the strike against all 3 domestic automobile manufacturers that lasted weeks. Many recent strikes and strike threats have been against highly successful companies that can easily afford to meet labor demands. Anheuser-Busch, though, has seen a large drop in sales this year. And don't forget to check out Investigates TV right after This Is Now at 12:30 on K5. Here's a preview.
Next time on Investigate TV Plus, recalled products in your home and for sale online. And the consequences can be deadly.
Not a day goes by that I don't think of my grandson.
Why critics say the government isn't doing enough to keep your family safe.
Time to check out some news from the feeds. There is no place like home for families, especially during the holidays, and that's true for families who haven't been able to go home for a long time. As Mike Bush reports, one family has been at St. Louis Children's Hospital for almost a year, but they just got the best Christmas gift ever.
At St. Louis Children's Hospital, the chorus of medical machinery is often the melody of hope. And in the neonatal intensive care unit, metronome-like monitors keep time with the fragile heartbeat of little Evie Statler.
She says, I'm beautiful. Oh. She's been in the hospital in the neonatal intensive care unit her whole life.
Born prematurely in March at just 23 weeks, doctors in Cape Girardeau rushed to save both mom and baby.
It was very scary. Getting rushed back to OR, I wasn't sure if I would make it or if she would make it.
It all happened so fast. It's kind of like a dream a bit.
Or a nightmare.
A nightmare.
Evie weighed just 14 ounces at birth. To give her the best chance, she was transferred to Children's.
You big girl.
Where Dr. Melissa Riley would be her guide through the storm.
It's one thing to survive, but to survive without complications, that's even more rare. The lungs are often very immature, the intestines are very immature, very prone to infection because the immune system is very immature. Oh.
In the chaos of the months that followed,
He's so cute.
Evie's dad found solace in a therapy not found in medical textbooks. He paints his emotions on canvas.
Through good times and bad times, I've always used painting as kind of, my crutch or whatever.
In fact, one of his paintings was accepted and is now on display at the 39th Annual Arts St. Louis exhibition. It's titled Waiting for Her Arrival, which he says signifies hope.
When you're expecting someone special to come to your home, you kind of tidy it up. You put the flowers in the vase and then you just wait for them to arrive. And so that was like a hope.
And now that hope isn't just a wish.
Whoa.
It's taking root.
What we've seen over the last several weeks is this slow, steady, beautiful progress, and her development is blossoming.
The family just unwrapped an unexpected Christmas present. Dr. Riley told them that Evie can go home for the holidays.
We've been doing this for the better part of the year, and for the timing to line up with Christmas, it's like symbolic almost, like, yeah, she is our gift.
For 9 months, the Statler family has been on a harrowing ride of emotions, but now they're poised to get off the roller coaster with tears of gratitude for the doctors and nurses.
We wouldn't be here without them. They feel like a second family to us, and they're amazing. They've been a light in our lives. See, look, I got all this love behind me.
There are still challenges ahead for little Evie.
He's so big and strong.
But this family is brushed with hope, painted by resilience, and cherishing what they believe is a Christmas miracle.
It'll be the best Christmas gift to have her home.
Mike Bush, NBC News, St. Louis.
And now for more good news, there is a young girl who always dreamed about meeting and seeing and performing alongside the Rockettes. Well, thanks to Make-A-Wish, her dream came true. Checky Beckford was there as she met the dancers.
This is the moment 11-year-old Madison Wyatt has been waiting for nearly her whole life. The chance to meet her favorite performers, the Rockettes, inside Radio City Music Hall.
Yeah. We're so excited to have you here.
But this isn't just a meeting.
Wooden Soldiers. Wooden Soldiers, awesome. Okay, great. Okay, come on over.
Madison is getting a private dance lesson.
And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4.
That beaming smile, a balm to Mom Jamie's heart.
Like, no worries. For a few days, like, no worries.
Madison has suffered from cystic fibrosis from birth, in and out of hospitals due to repeated lung infections.
A beautiful opportunity there. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great afternoon.